702.
The Big Interview.
20 after 7, or so many different Smalanyala skeletons coming out of various closets from the different inquiries into the police service. The former police minister, former police commissioner, Cele, his usual sort of form yesterday. I think the real bombshell maybe came last night, and there's so many to choose from, but the Chief Justice, Mandisa Maya, confirming she had approached the Gauteng acting judge, President Aubrey Ledwaba, to offer him special leave, and he had said no. So one of the witnesses at the Madlanga Commission, a police investigator known as Witness A, said 2.5 million rand had been earmarked to make sure the hitman Katie Molefe was given bail. It's not clear if the money was meant for the judge or for the prosecutor. Ledwaba did grant Molefe bail. That judgment had been criticized before all of this came out. Ledwaba says he's done nothing wrong. He's not going to take special leave. The Chief Justice, Maya, says maybe that's an option he should take. I have some sympathy with both of them, frankly. Dr Shadi Maganoe is a lecturer in constitutional law, governance and legislative oversight at Wits. Dr Maganoe, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for your time. I mean, I find this quite finely balanced. I made the point earlier. If I was guilty, I would say I'm staying in office. If I was innocent, I would say I'm staying in office.
I guess it doesn't matter either way, right? He would stay, of course. He wants to prove his innocence. And he will also want to stay to show that he has done nothing wrong, as he says. But for me, should he step down while this plays out? I think so, at least temporarily, right? I don't think it's punishment. It's about safeguarding the institution's credibility while the facts are being checked. So I do think he should step down, at least temporarily.
So, I mean, one of the problems, I can understand why you say that. I mean, one of the problems for me is that you could say, well, step down until the end of the commission. Now, how long is your piece of string? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this commission goes on another 2 years before we get findings.
That's true. But I think in this instance, when senior judges face such serious allegations, stepping aside protects public confidence in the judiciary or in the judicial system, right? So if he stays there, I think it's going to impact or it's going to affect how the public sees the justice system. So hence I said in the first place, I don't think it's not punishment, but he needs to step aside and wait. I don't know how long it takes. Most people say the wheels of justice are slow, but for this reason, to maintain public confidence in the justice system, I think it's only fair that he steps aside.
The Chief Justice putting out a statement about it, and I have sympathy with her. Was that the right move? I mean, she had to respond. It does, I think, her statement has the consequence of putting a lot of pressure on Ledwaba. I mean, I don't know if that's what she wanted. She had to say something, but it does do that anyway.
I think the statement was necessary, right? I think this goes beyond one judge. Hence, the Chief Justice had to make that statement. This is about whether South Africans can still trust our courts to be clean, independent, and above political or criminal influence. If the judiciary confronts this head-on, it will emerge stronger. If it closes ranks or it delays action, public faith in the rule of law will take a serious knock. So I think that statement was necessary in that sense.
Such a strong point. Dr Shadi Maganoe, thanks so much. A lecturer in constitutional law, governance and legislative oversight at Wits. Well, the other big issue that came out yesterday, the former police minister, Cele, in Parliament, talking about his relationship with Kat Matlala. Matlala wanted him to do something illegal. Chad Thomas is an expert on crime. He's been involved in all of this. Chad, good morning. I mean, you've got a former police minister meeting with Kat Matlala, not just once, but several times, staying in his hotels and all the rest. How do you feel about Cele's explanation for it?
Very good morning, Stephen, and very good morning to the listeners. Look, it's of grave concern because, as the minister acknowledged, he still gets called on a regular basis by people who have been victims of crime so that he can intervene and intercede on their behalf. He still has contact with the majority of senior leadership within SAPS. And I find the timing quite peculiar because it was at the stage that Kat Matlala was fighting literally for his life in respect of that wellness tender, and he needed intervention of sorts. We had by this stage got to know who Kat Matlala was, and despite not being employed by government anymore and not having that executive oversight, one has to check who they are dealing with. And it's been a constant throughout this commission is how people like Brown Mokgotsi had direct contact with Mkhunu, and now we've seen Vusikat Patlala having direct contact with the previous minister. It's of grave concern seeing bad actors being able to communicate quite openly with these very senior members of leadership. One must remember that Becky Cele is still a member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC and on their working committees.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to it. I mean, clearly we all need to spend a little bit more time having breakfast in the Beverly Hills Hotel in Durban just to find out what's going on. I keep coming back to this, how our politics, and let me be clear, I suppose do mean primarily the politics of the ANC, maybe MK, maybe some others, is completely intertwined with the SAPS. I mean, we hear about how Senzo Mkhunu wanted financial support for his leadership bid in the ANC. And isn't this the real problem? Is that our politicians and our police are too close to each other?
You make a very valid point. One can look at the January 8th sponsorships that were arranged by Brown Mokgotsi even meeting with Sabir for breakfast in Cape Town and then bulking out on the bill. But then if we go back to the Mangaung conference, a lot of allegations came out that crime intelligence was funding brown envelopes in respect of different candidates. So these brown envelopes get shoved underneath delegates' doors before the election process takes place the next day. And this came out of the Mangaung election a few years ago. I think it's about a decade ago. So it is concerning that there's this very strong relationship between the policing structures and a political party, and that there's always this talk of money, be it money from the Secret Service account or be it money that's solicited via senior members from these purported bad actors.
At this stage, from what we know in its early days, Chad, I mean, let's be clear, this could go on forever. Do you think at this stage we're actually going to see real reform coming out of this? I mean, I want to be optimistic, but I'm afraid I'm quite tough to convince nowadays.
Oh, most definitely. In the short term, we need to come up with solutions where we make use of the public-private partnerships that have been established by BAXA and others just to get us through this phase. But there has to be an overhaul in the medium to long term of our policing structures, of the independence thereof, as well as the decentralization from national to provincial to local. This is the reckoning that we've needed for a very long time. And everybody in South Africa now understands the problems. They suspected the problems. They heard rumors of the problems. They're now hearing firsthand. People are coming with receipts and saying, yes, indeed, there are major problems within our policing structures.
Chad Thomas, thanks so much. Really appreciate that. Chad, as you know, is an expert on crime. Dr Shadi Maganoe, an expert on constitutional law. 28 after 7.
Current events, developing stories.
Tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.